actually have three kids, count them, three kids, home sick today. So at the moment, I think all of them are either sleeping or otherwise occupied. So I really hope I'm going to be able to make this pep talk without being interrupted. Bezat Hashem. Okay, so I wanted to tell you about this amazing trip that I went on. We went on a trip this past Shabbat to the Negev, to like the middle of the desert. It was my husband teaches at a women's yeshiva called Nishmat, so every year then they have like an annual Shabbat. Usually it's in the winter to the south of Israel, and so this year we went to a place called Merchav Am, which is it's like a community. A very small community in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert, and it's gorgeous there, and it's just so, you can see all the stars at night, and it's so silent there, and I just loved being there. So one of the highlights of this past Shabbat was that at Friday night dinner, there's a young teacher at Nishmat. Her name is Emuna Lapid, and she's really amazing. And she decided, instead of giving like a regular, usually at these Shabbat dinners, Nishmat dinners, whatever, then usually like the students, like one student gives a Devar Torah, and then a rabbi gives a Devar Torah and whatever. But they have like a new thing that they're doing is that Emuna Lapid, she leads like a discussion on an interesting topic, and the discussion this week, so she talked Emuna. She's like the Nishmat tour guide. She's done a ton of hiking all around Israel. So she was talking about the hike that all the girls had gone in the desert before Shabbat. And she was talking about how she was talking about the process of walking and going and walking, or always towards a certain destination. For example, she said like on this hike that we went on, our destination was a certain oasis where there was this beautiful like waterfall, and everyone went swimming in the waterfall. But she was talking about this, about what to focus on. Should you focus on the journey or on the destination, on the beautiful walk in the desert and noticing what's going on, or like just thinking, okay, like when are we finally going to get to the waterfall? So it was really sweet. So different girls, different Nishmat students, got up and talked about what they thought, whether they thought the journey is more important or the destination, or I guess in different terms you could call it goal oriented or process oriented. So the comment that really made the biggest impression on me, Nishmat actually has a bunch of different programs, and so they have a program, let's say, for Israeli girls right after national service. They have a program for girls for young women from abroad after university, which is probably what maybe many of you have heard of, if you've heard of Nishmat at all. And my husband actually runs a program for girls, modern Orthodox girls, right after high school. I guess it's like what you call a SEM program called Shana Ba'aretz. But in addition to all these different programs, Nishmat also has a large program for Ethiopian girls. It's Ethiopian Israeli girls who come for a year or more to study Torah, and also to be prepared to get special classes to prepare them for the university acceptance exams. So that's to help them to get to university and to train for a career. So one of the Ethiopian girls gets up. And she said, I think a lot about this topic, about, the journey versus valuing the journey versus valuing like the destination. She said, because I grew up until a certain age. I grew as a young girl. I lived in Ethiopia. And in Ethiopia, we related very, very differently to time than we do in Israel. She said, in Israel, in my life now, I have a class at 8 o'clock, and I have a class at 9 o'clock, and I have a class at 10:30, and I have a class at, and then I have an appointment at 12:30, and then I have my university acceptance exam, my psychometry is going to be at 3 p.m., and it's all towards working time, very, very exact, in terms of my, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever, because I have a goal. My destination is getting into university, and I have to get to university, and my parents are telling me all the time, I have to get a degree, and I have to get a degree, and I have to get a degree. I'm sorry, not only university, just whatever. It's not, the girls don't go to university, they can go to teachers training institutes, or train to be nurses or things, but they so this girl said, my parents are always saying, get a degree. She said, but I feel like, when I was growing up in Ethiopia, she said what it was like. She says there was no like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. What there was like, between when the sun, we would set up let's say a relative was coming to visit. So we'd know, okay, the relative is coming on Monday, between like when the sun is there and the sun is at the horizon and the sun is around there. So we know like it's, sometime between, 7 in the morning and noon, the neighbor's going to show up. And that's how it was. She said what it meant was that, we had a morning. We were there. We weren't just like rushing towards the school, towards this destination, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, university entrance exams, and then getting to university, and Says we were there. We were in the morning. We were just there, and we were living our lives. So I could really relate to that. I mean, don't we all? You get into like the schedule, so much. Okay, get the kids out and get the kids back, and and then I have to do this, and like sort of miss the joy of it, miss the joy of just walking along and being on the hike and seeing this and seeing that and looking up at the sky and just enjoying the journey, right? So on Shabbat morning, then I took about an hour on my own, and I went on a walk around Merchavam, and I discovered right next to the Yishuv, there was this stream bed. So it hasn't rained yet this year in Merchavam. So there's like this stream bed, where a stream, when it actually does rain there, then it fills up with rain. But this year it's just a dried stream bed. So I was able to I just went walking and walking and walking for maybe like 20 minutes. I was just walking in the stream bed and just following the stream bed. And I was thinking about the topic from the night before, about the journey versus the destination. And I was imagining myself. I imagined that I was a drop of water. And I imagined I was this drop of water going in the stream bed, and that I was walking, and I was flowing along and flowing along and flowing along, and I was just dreaming about, when am I going to reach the Mediterranean, and when am I going to reach the Mediterranean, and when am I going to reach the Mediterranean, and it might be a day, it might be days, it might be weeks, it might be never, but I'm just dreaming and dreaming and dreaming, and I was just thinking about how sad that is. How sad that is. Maybe it will take me weeks and months and maybe possibly years to get to the Mediterranean, and I will have wasted all that time, all those years waiting for the destination, as opposed to just enjoying the journey of like floating around and seeing Merchavam and being in the water and like seeing that and seeing like a fish and seeing a rock going by and just enjoying the process of just flowing along, right? I was just thinking about this in terms of, I think that probably many of us, we have something in our lives that we think to ourselves, when I have that, I'll be really happy. When I have that, I'll be so happy. It could be anything. I know for me, I have my dream. When this happens, I will be really, really happy. But it was interesting because I know that my teacher, her Rabbinit Yemima Mizrahi, so she tells us often. She said, when you set up for yourselves and you say to yourself, when this happens, I'll be happy. When my husband changes this about himself, when my children are like this, when I finally have another baby, when I move to a bigger house, whatever it is, when I get like my dream job, when my husband gets a better job, then we'll be happy. Then I'll be happy. And she said, when you have that attitude, you will never be happy. It's just not true. When that thing happens, you will not be happy. I'm not sure that this works 100% of the time. But I think as a general guideline, I think it's pretty true. That's to value now, like you're that drop of water, flowing along, and just valuing, like the right now, just valuing it, enjoying the view. My friend told me some interesting research that they interviewed people. I'm sorry, they did research on people who had like an empty nest, who were like empty nesters, or people who moved into their dream house, and these were people who like for their whole lives, and they thought now I'm miserable, but as soon as the kids move out, and as soon as there's the end of like the kids fighting and having to like cook for them and having to clean up after them and having to like deal with their messy rooms and their teenage tantrums, whatever, then I'll be happy. Or someone or someone might think, as soon as I move into my dream house, as soon as I move into my dream house, I still have, and I have some, elbow room, and we have enough room for like the living room and the table and the guests and the kids and then I'll be happy. But what actually happens? They found that this research discovered, researchers discovered that when that there's sort of a bizarrely, there's sort of like a bizarre rise in divorce rates after the family nest empties out and after people move into their dream house. Why? Because then they're like, wait, I got here. I've been waiting for this for years. I've been waiting for this for years to be happy. The moment when I be happy, and wait, I'm still miserable, right? So I want to bless all of us. I know, like this is very, very hard. I know it's very hard. You're that drop of water, and you're going along, and your goal is so far away, and it's so far away, and your dream is so far away. Like the when you'll be happy is so far away and seems so unattainable. But I think that this is the key. It's just like enjoying the now. It's just finding within our current imperfect reality, lights of finding the lights of joy and fun within the reality right now. I had like interesting experience. I had an interesting experience this past week because I think like a lot of us. So I felt so fully connected with this story of what happened with the Gross boys, and they're in the hospital, and they're like in there, and they're unconscious, and they're not breathing, and the doctors were extremely pessimistic, and the doctors were saying it basically sounded like if these boys survive, and there's almost no chance of that. If they actually do survive the next few days, then they'll just be, there's no way that they'll get out of this without any serious damage. But what appears right now is that like an incredible, all of the Jewish people from all over the world were davening for these boys. It was just incredible. If you look at the comments I collected on JewishMom.com, I collected comments like condolence notes from people from all over the world wrote in and said we are praying for your sons. Like people wrote from England and from Switzerland, from all over the United States, from all over Israel. Somebody wrote from like the Dominican Republic. Somebody wrote from Chile and said we live in a small Jewish community in Chile, and and we are praying for your sons. Right? Like the whole world was praying for these boys, and God apparently just made an incredible miracle. But when we were back then, when we were like 10 weeks 10 days ago, and on that terrible Thursday when I heard about what had happened, and I just felt so down the whole day, and I felt so broken. I thought, if there was a miracle, and if these boys actually, did come out of this, and we're healthy again, and we're able to come back home, then I would be so happy. So what actually happened is just like this past Thursday and since Shabbat, the boys are talking and healthy, and all of their bodily systems are working. They're talking now about, releasing at least one of the boys from the hospital, and it just looks like the boys are really going to be able. I mean, they still have like a long way to go, and we should be still praying for them. But really, a phenomenal miracle has happened. Like these boys, I think, are going to be going back sooner. They'll be going back to like, I'm not 100% sure, but I think like in the weeks or months to come, they'll be going back to school, going back to cheder, going back to their regular classes, and it's just like an unbelievable miracle. And the truth is, but the thing is that since Shabbat, it was like when I first heard the news, I was like so happy, like I started like crying. I was so moved, and I was so happy, and Baruch Hashem, what a miracle! I can't believe it. But then like I totally forgot about it, and just like went back to my sort of regular sort of like blah plateau, like whatever, like when the thing happened that I thought I would be so happy, and then I would just be so happy forever if that happened, then actually when it did happen, I was just like, I guess the doctor's prognosis, I guess they really didn't know what they were talking about. I guess it really wasn't such a big miracle, whatever. So I want to bless, so I just want to bless all of us that we should like within the now, that we should be able to find, that when you're that drop of water floating along towards the Mediterranean, that you should be able to look around and just like enjoy the rock you see, and the fish you see, and the view you see, and whatever you see, and the feel of the water against your gills, okay? That you should be able to just enjoy the process. Okay, I want to bless all of you Jewish moms with an amazing week.